Guys, welcome to the Titanium Vault. I'm your host, RJ Bates III, and today I want to talk about how do I determine my market. So as many of you know, if you've watched a 50-day challenge or any of my episodes on Batch TV, we are nationwide. And as well, with all of our students that are coming through the Titanium Crucible, we are wanting everyone that attends to also become a virtual wholesaler across the entire United States. And one of the most frequently asked questions by people that either watch the 50-day challenge, Batch TV, or even attend the Crucible is, well, how do I determine which market to go to? Right? Most of the time, you are limited by, hey, I do wholesaling where I live. And we were the same way, right? We live here in Fort Worth, Texas. So that's where we started, Dallas, Fort Worth. And eventually we started expanding out and we went to places like Austin, Texas, San Antonio, Houston. Those were the first virtual markets that we went to. Now, one of the best things that ever happened to our business we had some turnover and we lost a lot of our acquisitions and dispositions people. And it was a really good thing for us because it forced us to become more virtual based in order to continue doing the type of volume that we were already doing. As well as when COVID hit, we just completely changed all of our acquisition strategies and everything became, hey, we're virtual. We no longer go see properties prior to making offers. And then that made me do the 50-day challenge. And from there, I really streamlined how our acquisitions process works. Okay. So what I want to share with you guys today is how do I decide with the whole United States as my playground? How do I decide where I'm going to pull data and where we're actually going to do marketing? Okay. Now, the key to this is, and I want to preface this whole episode by saying the key to this is you have to understand that you have to have some kind of strategy, some long-term marketing flow to what you're going to do. Otherwise, you will be wasting data. Okay. And our whole objective here is to accumulate data, recycle it over and over and over again. And what we're seeing is we're still getting deals from data that we skip traced 12, 14 months ago, where we're still capitalizing on that from our efforts and our dollars that were spent on that. Okay. And so today, what I'm going to show you is how I utilize batch leads. And if you're listening on the podcast, I'm going to talk you through this as best as possible, but I do recommend eventually going and watching this on YouTube because I'm going to share my screen and you're really going to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. Okay. But we pull all of our data inside of Batch Leads. Shout out to them. Use promo code Titanium down there at the bottom for half off your first month. And I'm going to showcase exactly what I see. Okay. So this is going to be a quicker version of what you've probably seen in some of my live videos, but I want to go ahead and share my screen here. And so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. So we're inside of my Batch Leads account and we're under list search. Okay. Now, if I were to decide I want to go to a place like Tulsa, Oklahoma, okay, if I'm just curious what this market's going to look like, this is what I'm going to pay attention to. When I search, I'm searching the entire city, not a specific zip code or anything along those lines. It's the entire city, okay? And you'll see down here at the bottom, we have all of our motivating criteria. There's no other filters on this list except for the city, okay? So down at the bottom, you're going to see, 51,000 absentee owners, 85,000 free and clear. There's a lot. The number that I only pay attention to is the vacant properties, okay? And the reason why is because that is the first motivating criteria that I want to attack. Because we are nationwide, our thought process is that we want to have a customer avatar, a motivated seller avatar of the tired landlord or the person with a vacant property that probably has other underlying issues, okay? Now, what I will do at this point in time is I will come in, I will add my filter, And then I'm going to filter it down. I'm going to choose residential. I'm going to choose single family. And, you know, sometimes we do the townhouses and the duplex and triplexes and all of that. We make sure that it's not on the MLS. Okay. And then we're going to make sure that we're only hitting the individually owned. And then we're going to go to evaluation. We go to our equity percent. We're going to hit 50% to 100%. And then we're going to guess on the estimated value. We're choosing the estimated value here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Let's say $90,000 minimum to $250,000 maximum. And then we apply the filter. I'm going to assume this is going to get us somewhere down to like 900 on the vacant. I don't know. I didn't do this prior. 481. So I was off by quite a bit. This was still going to be where I decide whether or not this is a good market enough for me. What I am aiming for, excuse me, is somewhere between 1,500 and 2,500 records for me to skip trace to then hit. And in this right here, we start with the vacant. That gives us 481. We'll then go to pre-foreclosures, 34, cash buyers, 129. We can hit the tax defaults, 2,000, liens, 297, expired listings, 470, unknown equity, 116. That's pretty much all I want to hit. I don't really touch the free and clear, the absentee owners on here, or the inherited. Okay. This is the simple process that I take to decide if this is a good market for me. Okay. If I go in and it's overwhelming, if there's too many, if it's like 15,000, okay, what I determined at that point in time is I didn't niche it down enough with the filters. We don't want the super high-end properties, and we don't want the super low-end properties because those are going to be hard to dispo. And because we are nationwide, dispositions is going to be a little bit more tricky from the aspect of we're not always going to have a built-out buyers list in a place like Waterbury, Connecticut that we got during Batch TV, or a Newcastle, Delaware, or a Newport, New Hampshire. Those are 3 contracts that we currently have right now that we don't have built-out buyers list. So we actually have to go do dispo campaigns on those, which we've previously showcased on the YouTube channel and the podcast on how we do that, okay? So we go through that process. What I'm trying to avoid here is the super low-end properties, okay? That's where we set that minimum estimated value. We want to avoid all of the super difficult low-end markets where it's going to be super difficult and it's low income, you know, the quote-unquote ghetto, okay? That's where we want to avoid. And then we want to avoid the super high-end properties where really people probably aren't going to have as much motivation, and flippers and landlords are not really going to want to be buying because of the price point, okay? So we're trying to find that sweet spot, go in there, and siphon a couple of deals out of this data, okay? So if I could get somewhere between 1,500 to 2,500 records by doing this simple search here, then that's exactly that's the type of market that I want to be in. Now, you might be saying, well, okay, RJ, that sounds great, but you could go do this in a Las Vegas, Nevada, a Phoenix, Arizona, and we all know that those are going to be extremely difficult markets, especially for SMS marketing. And you're absolutely right. We still hit those markets. We still pull those lists, and we still hit them with SMS marketing, but it goes into our marketing channels. We have other means like cold calling, RVMs, direct mail that we're going to hit it with as well. And we continue hitting that data over and over and over again with different creative ways. So let me show you how we do that. What we do is when after you've pulled your list, it goes into the properties tab. And when you go in here, down here at the bottom, it shows you all of the motivating criteria down here. 5,500 bankruptcies, 205,000 free and clear, 28,000 liens, 10,600 pre-foreclosures, and on and on. There's 82,000 vacant properties. What we will occasionally do is we don't really care how old some of that data is because Batch is constantly refreshing that data for us, so we don't have to stay on top of it ourselves. And so when I could come in here and I could see, hey, guys, we have 10,600 pre-foreclosures. Let's go ahead and run a nationwide campaign for pre-foreclosures. And then we'll put that into the marketing funnel and just hit that. And we can quickly track our KPIs and see how that's performing, because there's 10,000 records right there. We've already skip traced it. The only expense that is going to be spent on that is the very small minimal expense on the text being sent, as well as our time. And as far as time goes, it doesn't really matter to us, because this is what we're doing all day, every day anyways. And so we're getting to test run a campaign on just pre-foreclosures nationwide. And that's going to include those difficult markets like the Las Vegas, Nevada, the Phoenix, Arizonas, and so on and so forth. And that helps us get deals in those difficult markets because we're continually touching them. Okay. And the key in difficult markets is not to get more data or constantly refresh it or anything like that. It's to be consistent and regularly touching them 7, 8, 9, 10 times to eventually get to the point of getting to a contract. And that's what we're able to accomplish. And that's why, if you saw yesterday, I was able to get a deal in San Francisco, California on Batch TV. We regularly get deals in San Antonio, Texas, which is a fairly saturated market with wholesalers and other investors. We've been able to get deals in Jacksonville, Florida, and Gainesville, Florida, which is another saturated market. And this is all within the last 30 days of what I'm talking about, us getting deals in these markets. And if you go into my batch account, and you'll see there's actually not been very many campaigns set up specifically for those cities. Those contracts are actually coming from nationwide campaigns, because now they're populated in a new motivating criteria like bankruptcy, like a pre-foreclosure, like a vacant property, and we're constantly hitting them from multiple different angles. Okay. So when I talk about how do I determine my market? Well, again, my market is the United States. We're constantly accumulating data across the board, putting it into the funnel, and then touching them from as many different angles as possible. So don't sit there and have analysis paralysis and overthink it on, hey, which market should I be touching today? Okay. Anytime I run a campaign of 1,500 to 2,500 texts, the goal is that I'm going to get one contract out of that. But then it continues down the funnel where we start cold calling it, and then it will be touched again regularly through other text campaigns, other cold call campaigns. And the goal is every time there's 2,500 records, we're getting at least one contract, because that's the nationwide average for us. 2,500 initial text leads to one contract. And that's our goal, is to always be refreshing it, reusing the data, and essentially hitting them as many times as we possibly can. Okay. And so that's how I sit here and I determine my markets and what gets put into the marketing channel and what doesn't. Hopefully this helps you guys. Again, if you haven't checked out Batch Leads, I think it is the most powerful tool in all of real estate investing. Check it out at batchleads.io. You can use promo code Titanium for half off your first month. That's all I got for you today, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you watch on YouTube, leave me a comment if you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.